This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Back, everyone. If you're considering redoing your living space, of course, you want a professional to help you out with that. We're going to talk with one today, but something a little bit different, something that many, I don't think, consider. Yes, you can have an interior designer give you ideas, change up certain colors and things like that, maybe even change a wall, maybe structural recommendation, custom furniture. Yeah, it's a thing. You can have it done. Truly exactly what you are looking for. And she's going to give us insight on that today. She is Trish Bonney, and she's back with us. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. So with custom furniture, how does that even, and we're going to get into some examples of that in a moment, but how does that essentially work? Is it you give suggestions to a client and they decide what they want and then you go and have it made?
Yes. So I'm going to piggyback off of the project that we talked about last week. But in essence, in the beginning, we will give 3 options of everything. And then once they pick like their sofa, for example, that they like the best, then we will also talk about the different fabrics that can go on it. And we will determine the size of it, for example. So you can go in a lot of furniture stores and they'll say it's custom, which means a lot of times you can put one fabric and that's their customization. Whereas with us, we are a full service design firm. So we can do truly custom where I can actually draw something and imagine it up and work with my workroom to make it. We do have some standard options to choose from, but I could say I need it 10 inches longer than it normally is, or 3 inches deeper, and I can put a different fabric wherever there's a seam. I can do trim, nail heads, whatever we want to do.
Like let's say you have a certain spot and you need a love seat, or you want a love seat in this spot, and it's kind of an odd size. Maybe it's 42 inches long, 42 um, inches long by an eighth, whatever it might be. Exact. Whatever you say is what we can get done.
Correct.
Wow.
Yes. And if you have like a couple where, say, the husband, for example, is super tall and his hip down to his knee is extra long, so he would need a deeper sit. So we have had a couple that was like that, and they each wanted their own recliner. So we did have his custom made to fit his most comfortable seated position. And hers was a little different than his because obviously she wasn't remotely as tall as him. So we can get very specific on these things, and I would love to show you.
Oh, let's do that.
All right. Let's see. Are
And
you
this
able to
is,
see my screen?
yeah, yep. And this is a project that
Okay.
we started digging into last time we got together.
Yes.
Why don't we kind of reset this? This is just um, are we doing the entire house? This is a living room. Just reset it for
I'm
us.
going to just show you a couple specific pieces. This one was suggested for his formal living room that he picked out. And then here I am, I'm telling my workroom all the different fabrics. So there's a lot of information and a lot of time that goes into just getting the concept going. And so you can see I tell them what fabric I've picked out for where, and I really try to point it out. And if you look closely at this sofa, there's even like a detail right along the edge,
Sure.
which is called a welt. Yes. And you can have that. You don't have to have that. We didn't want it because we wanted his to be a little more contemporary. But if we wanted, we could even tuft the cushion. That's where you have like buttons and whatnot. But like I said, everywhere that you see a different seam, you can call out a different fabric. So this is what it actually ended up looking like. We did put a trim welt on these pillows just to give it a little extra detail.
Mm.
Um, and then this, for example, is a bar stool, obviously, but this is a standard bar stool that we can choose from, but we can do whatever fabrics we want. You can do a leather, you can do a vinyl. This one in particular, we did a very um, easy to use vinyl, meaning you can clean this with bleach if wanted to, a simple bleach solution. So it's water and bleach. But I usually will put on the seat, a lot of times on the inner back of the bar stools, because that's where we'll spill all of our food. The other thing that I typically will call out is performance fabrics or Kryptons, because if you got dirty hands and you go to grab the back, this is super easy to clean as well, and liquids will just bubble off of it. But this is how it looks. And you see, I was
Oh,
even
wow.
able to say I wanted legs. There's the fabric, and then there's that vinyl on the interior. Um, this is an example of his dining set. We did the same thing with the vinyl and leather on the interior, and then a fun fabric on the backside. The backs of furniture is kind of boring. So why not have some fun with it and give it a little more oomph?
This is
Does
so,
that make
yeah, so interesting. The bar stool with the multiple colors. I wasn't expecting
Yeah,
that. That's very, it's contemporary, but not over the top. And
right.
the dining set where there's my best description, a cutout within the back of the chair to allow you to push the chair further in.
Yep.
What
Yeah,
a
this
cool thing.
here. Yeah, because this house that he lives in, that we did a full gut remodel, it's a late 1800s home, so it is very tiny. So simple details like this is probably something if you run into a furniture store, you're not going to think about how to save some space and make sure everything fits when you put things away. But that is something that should be top of our mind.
Wow.
Um, this, for example, is a very, very popular piece at a big furniture store that I'm not going to call out, but it's very popular at that furniture store. You can't customize it. You might get some options of different fabrics, but again, we can have it made not only in different fabrics, but we can make it any size that we want, and do it however we like and add extra pillows. This one in particular, at the furniture store where it's typically sold, does not come in any leathers. But not only did our client want it in leather, they wanted it in a blue leather, which is, not typical in most furniture stores. And then he also needed an ottoman, which, yes, this is acting as a coffee table as well. So eventually we will get a tray to put on top of that. But this is where I'm going into specific detail about what size each piece is going to be, because again, the house is a very old home. It's got small rooms, and I was confined to very limited sizes,
Mm.
which you cannot get in a typical furniture store. So, and then this is the actual piece itself in leather. The other thing about leather is, well, and these cushions are all down, which means there's a lot of air in there and they'll be very squishy. Leather does not breathe. So the other thing that I had to talk to the manufacturer about is we need somewhere for the air to escape. So you can't see it because I had it all sewn properly and all of those valves are hidden. But I found gold valves that have an antique finish that they put on the sides and the underside of each of these cushions so that the air can escape. So when somebody sits on it, it's not just going to be a big bubble that goes nowhere. It actually, you know, your body will sink into it as the air escapes.
And is that because this is more of a squishy, flexible kind of leather couch?
Yeah, so these are supposed to be, if you look at this picture, They are supposed to be very, very flexible and just melt to your body.
Hmm.
Um, with that being said, it will have that floppy, inconsistent look. So if people like really, really clean lines, this is probably not
Yeah.
their cup of tea, but this is what the client wanted. And at the store that it's normally sold at, we still get it under the price that is typically sold, even though I customized it, tremendously. Um, and even though I had some leather on it. So the fact that we can do that and make exactly what our customers want, these sizes are not normal at the furniture stores. So, and this ottoman, this was a weird size as well, but wanted to fit just right where we actually gave, because in our world, you're supposed to give 15 inches of space to walk around it from the sofa. So you can also, when you're seated, it's the ample amount of space to bend over and have, like say you have a tray on here and you have a glass of water or something. So we had it sized out perfectly to fit his space.
It, I love the way it looks. So comfortable. It's almost as if it's call it a big
Beanbag.
plastic bag with feathers in it. That's kind of what I'm feeling from it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's similar to I remember when I was little, I had a red beanbag that I would just plop and throw in front of the TV or whatever.
Yeah, thank you. That's what it is. Yeah, the old
Yes.
beanbag chair. Wow.
Yeah.
Um, so when you go custom, obviously you're expecting to pay more. That's, you're getting something custom. Um,
Mhm.
is it major sticker shock for many, when they hear the price, versus something that's already been manufactured versus custom?
No, because like this client in particular was originally looking at big box stores. And I'm gonna turn this off, that we would all normally go to. Um, and I can call out a few: Crate and Barrel, Pottery Barn. Those are normal stores that people want to go to where they get what they think is a higher end. I have been able to beat their prices. So considering sticker shock, no, I haven't had anybody get outrageously upset about the price. These are all made in the US, so that is helpful, especially right now. And it is all about the fabrics that you pick out. That's where it can go from zero to hero. That sofa, the last one that I showed you, again, it's in leather, so the price got really, really close. Um, but their normal sizes are really, it's for a huge sofa. So because mine was much smaller, being that it was really close to their large one, that one it did go up, but that one was super, super custom. And again, we put leather on it. But the client was happy that they got exactly what they wanted in the blue leather that they wanted and to the proper scale, because otherwise it wasn't possible in his space.
So to make sure we understand that even more, the the fabric really dictates the price. It's not so much of the custom cut, configuration, all of that. That's where the call it expense comes in, the major expense.
Yeah, when you're talking about putting leather on items, of course the price is going to go up.
Sure.
But normally we can beat the cost if we use the standard sizes that are already made there, that they already have the pattern for, then the price stays really low. When I'm making things extra large or extra small, they have to make a whole new pattern for me, and it's a one of a kind situation. But if I can use the standard sizes, then I can, even if you pick your own fabrics, I typically can beat big box store pricing.
Wow.
And it's not made on a huge line with other items where they just come out of a machine and pop it out over and over again. All of our pieces are made to order, even if it's the standard size. It's about, do they have the pattern already? Um, already set in place and have they made it before. So it's actually more cost effective if you purchase. I'm not saying every designer is going to sell it that way. Yes, we can mark it up. We are a retail agent just like they are. But for me, you should get a benefit of working with me. So, yes, I do make a markup, but we don't mark it up over retail, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, you're designing it.
Yeah.
The time and expense in that as well. What's the most unusual piece of furniture or most challenging piece of furniture that you've designed? Anything stand out for you?
Well, that one was a little more challenging because we had to make sure, one, that it fit through his doors, because it was deeper. We also had to make sure that it fit his space. But I would say probably the couple that I was talking about earlier, where he was much taller than her, because I had to make, like, their sofas, for example, if they want to both sit on it at the same time, how do I do that? And it was all about the pillows that went behind her. Um, so I had to make sure that there were pillows for her to sit comfortably, but it was less pillows for him. So I had to keep both of them in mind, when I was trying to explain what their sofa was going to look like. And then, like last week, I showed you renderings of that space where all this furniture was going. So that's where they can see too how all these extra pillows might look, for somebody who's smaller or something like that.
I can't even imagine
But I would say,
that
yeah,
design of a piece of furniture that, it's set up for him, but also for her. And it's the same piece.
yeah, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was about pillows to just put behind her back that made it more comfortable for her. But I do remember a client that reached out to us from out of state that had a very, very specific desired bed in mind from a really, really high-end company. Um, their cost retail was over $26,000, and they couldn't afford it, and had heard through the grapevine that I can make custom furniture or have custom furniture made. We actually were able to really mimic that bed almost to a T, but the husband was an engineer. So where there was even more to his wants and desires, um, that were very, very, very specific. Like, that was probably the hardest one, just because engineers, they think a whole different way, and they think down to every little nail that's going
Mm.
into a piece. But um, we got the same bed done in all the fabrics that looked very similar to this dream bed that they had. And we got it down around $10,000. It was just
Wow.
barely over 10. And that was shipped to them directly. So the fact that we saved them over $16,000 and got them their dream bed that they love, I thought that was great. And
Yeah.
it was beautiful at the end. But that one was a lot of work working with an engineer.
I could imagine. There's a lot of detail going in there. Not that you don't put detail into it, but in a whole other direction. What's a reasonable
Yes.
expectation, Trish, when it comes to ordering custom furniture and the delivery time? Any kind of, everything is different. I know that, but just to manage expectations.
Yeah. It also depends on the time of year. So if you order after the holidays, um, it typically, and how much we order. If I'm just ordering one chair, it might take 6 to 8 weeks. If I'm ordering, say, a living room and a bedroom set, 6 to 8 weeks is doable in some times of the years, but I feel more safe telling my clients 8 to 10, just to be more, make sure I set the expectations right. If it comes in earlier, they're going to love me. And if it doesn't, then we're on time. But if you are going to order custom furniture in August, for example, that is where the interior design world starts its holiday season. Everybody is trying to slam in all of their orders in time for Christmas. So that's when they get the busiest. I could still get something in August and get it back. Like we just put one in August and we just got it delivered today. So I was like in line. Some people beat me to it, but obviously we are going to get hers delivered and installed. We didn't make it for Thanksgiving, but it will be in the first week of December.
And is the thinking there that people want to have the new pieces in time for the holidays? That's why the crunch is on August up.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, in the design world, you'll start all the manufacturers and workrooms be like, get your orders in now in August if you want it back before Christmas. Because say I put mine in August 5th at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, from the 1st to the 5th, other people have gotten ahead of me. So that's where I'm getting close. But if it goes all the way to September, that's where we try to tell clients we can place the order, but I'm not going to guarantee that it'll be back by Christmas. Like I'm very open and honest with my clients because I know they have this dream. And yes, you can walk into stores that are local to you where they have stuff on the floor or they have stuff in their warehouse where it's mass produced or something like that. But when you're doing custom, ours is literally made to order.
And even that stuff that's already manufactured, you get what you pay for. And I learned that hard
Right.
lesson because I bought some pieces for a living room quickly because I had moved and I'm like, all right, let me just get this done. Lesson learned. Even the durability of the fabric. Not that a lot of people, I don't entertain that much in my place, but you can even see it starting to wear just by normal, like, somebody sitting on it once a me, yeah, once
Yeah.
a week, 3 times a week, whatever it might be. You can actually see it. It's only a couple years old. But I didn't shop around. I said, all right, let me get this. It wasn't super expensive. And I do remember the house that I sold prior to that. That was a more expensive set, and it lasted easy 12 years,
Yeah.
maybe more. Yeah, and looked great.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. If people are willing to invest, you should only have to invest like a few times throughout your lifetime. Whereas
Yep.
if you get what we call now, especially after 2020, there's a lot of things out there that people will call disposable furniture. Um, and people were just buying things left and right online, and all we're doing is filling up our landfills with
Yeah.
more garbage. So,
And why do you want to do that? Why do you want to have to buy something again? Again, I learned a lesson, but I won't I won't do it again because I'm going to be due very soon for another piece.
yeah.
Because and now I see why the fabric makes such a difference, and that's where a lot of the cost is. Trish, how does somebody find you? Maybe they're thinking about a redesign, maybe some custom furniture. How do they connect with you?
The best way is just Google Tab Interior Designs. You can find our Instagram, our website, phone number, email. Just Google Tab Interior Designs, and you should find all the ways to contact us.
Thank you for today. A lot of amazing insight and what's available when you work with a designer. I mean, many of us might not even be aware that the furniture can be custom and doesn't necessarily have to break your budget. And I appreciate it. Thanks again for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.